Hello everyone and thanks for joining me again. Today we're going to build a very simple desktop app with Electron and Gatsby. Now if you're not familiar with Electron, Electron's a pretty nice tool that allows you to use your web development skills to build applications that act as if they're native applications in your desktop. They basically are, but you're using, as it says here, web pages as a GUI. Right, so you're not actually required to know anything about how to manipulate the Windows environment. You just use your web development skills, and Electron takes care of giving you a small little or a window of your a window with the size of your choosing to run native applications on your local desktop. So it's not too hard to get started with this, but first we'll need to go ahead and get a project set up. We'll just call this Gatsby desktop app. Why not? Okay, and we'll go ahead and install the usual dependencies. For a Gatsby project. Okay, and once we get those in, we'll add some dev dependencies. Alright, so that's almost finished. We'll go ahead and add some of the usual Gatsby files and folders that we need. So we'll need an src folder. Also, we'll need a pages folder within that src directory. And within the pages, we'll need an index.js file. That should get us started. Okay, so if we run our Gatsby dev server using the Gatsby develop command, we should see a home page. And there it is. Okay. Probably should have used a heading tag. All right, there it is. Good. All right, so we'll say if we're building a desktop app that we're going to use for our small little company, and we wanted to keep it just as an in-house app, keep it private. That would be our motivation for building a desktop app, or it would be one motivation for doing so. So add an images folder here just so we can make it look like something other than our usual cheesy example app. Good. And the name of that image? My corporate logo.jpg. All right. So let's put it above that. All right, let's see what we have. Oh, there it is. Actually, we don't need to do that, do we? All right, that didn't do anything for us. All right, forget that. All right, so that's good enough for now. I don't want to mess around with it too much. So now what we'd like to do is make this into a desktop app. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to go to the Electron documentation homepage. If you go down, well, it shows you how to get set up with just using basic JavaScript. But if you go down to this bit of code, it says Electron development in a nutshell. And there's a fairly decent sized code block. And then underneath it, it's the same file but expanded. So we'll want to grab that code block. So just copy it. Go into your root for now. Open up a new file. Call it Electron.js. All right, and in there, put in that code. And we'll need to add a few more things. So we'll need to add in path. Need one more thing. Forgot to add a few dependencies. So let's do that now. And just give me a second while I look those dependencies up. So for our dependencies so far, what do we have? We just have, just React, React-DOM, and Gatsby. So I'll need some dev dependencies here. And one we'll need is concurrently. You've probably used that before. We'll also need Electron, of course. Something called Electron Builder, and Electron Builder will allow us to package our application for production. And then one more called wait on. And what wait on does is it allows you to run one part of your app first, and then as soon as it's done, as soon as it's up and running, and then it runs another one. We'll use that with concurrently, but we'll make sure that that second part doesn't get run until the first part's completely up and running. And we'll need one more dependency. It's not a dev dependency. Or at least at this point I don't have it marked down as a dev dependency. It probably could be though when I think about it. But for now we'll just add it as a normal dependency. And that's called Electron is dev. And what this does is this allows us to determine whether or not we're in development mode, and then that'll determine whether or not, or it'll let us either see the application in development mode or in production mode. So if we go back into our Electron JS file, I think that should be good for the dependencies. But while we're in the package.json file, let's add one more thing. Our main file is going to be that electron.js file. Alright, so we'll change that now. Go back into your electron.js file and go down to the part where it says win.loadFile. Right, and before we do that, geez, I'm all over the place here. Sorry guys, it's a little late. We need to require that Electron is dev dependency in this file. Okay, so we'll say const is dev. All right, there we go. All right, so go down in this file, go down past the part where it says create window. This is where it's going to create your window. You can change the width and height if you like. I'll leave it as they were given in the example at the Electron docs. And down here it says win.load file. We'll change this to win.load URL. All right, and now we're going to say that if we're in development mode, then we'll go ahead and look at the usual port that we look at in development mode. And for Gatsby, remember that's 8000. And if not, then what we're going to do is we're going to actually look at the file as it would be in our bundled application. So that'd be file. What are we doing here? All right, I'm sure you've seen this before if you've built any apps with Express or in Node. We don't have a public folder yet, and we'll get that. Actually, we should have it now that we've run our development server. Yeah, we see it over here. Good. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and put our Electron file. Let's make a copy of it and put it in the public folder here. Okay, good. So that's in there. And I think we're good there. Yeah. All right, so now that's all we should need to do with our electron.js file. All right, we shouldn't have to modify it anymore. Okay, so at this point, if we want to see what things look like, we can go ahead and add a script for doing so. And so first, we'll make a script and we'll call it Electron dev. And just give me a second here. Okay, and then for that we'll run concurrently. What else are we doing here? Okay, I think that's all right. Can't forget to add our comma here. All right, so if we run npm electron dev, we should be okay now. All right, sorry guys for this taking me a little bit of time. I just figured this out a little while ago, and like I said, it's late. I'm looking at another computer here just to review my code to make sure that I don't miss anything. So run electron dev. All right, so that's running Gatsby develop. It's getting that up and running. Now that that's up and running, it should open a window. And it's not, there it is. Okay, good. So it opened the window and we're seeing our application here. Good. And you can see here that it looks like this is just a little local window on your desktop, even though it is actually using a web page to do what it does. All right, so there was something I wanted to do here. Just give me a second to think about that. Oh, that's right. So you saw that when the page opened up, and I'll just do that again so that you see. Let's rerun it. And so again, it's running Gatsby develop, getting the Gatsby dev server up and running. That's up and running. And then it opens up our window with our application. But it also opens up DevTools, right? And that's just the way that they set up the file, at the Electron docs site. We don't have to do that if we don't want to. I think we can just comment this out. All right, and then close that and try it one more time. Okay, good. So it opens up our app without DevTools. And if you want to set it back to have DevTools open when it's up and running, you can do that. We're not going to do that right now. Okay, so good. At least in development mode, we see that our desktop application is working. But now we'd like to have it actually on our desktop and available for use, and not so that we need to run it in the browser. So let's close that and stop the dev server. All right, so this is where we've got to be a little bit crafty here, and I didn't do this completely on my own. I looked around and I found what people were doing with Create React App, and I just modified it a little bit. Okay, so first what we need to do is we need to go back into our package.json and write, it doesn't have to go here, but say right above the main part here, you can add in some code that we get from Electron Builder. An Electron Builder, like I said, is that package that we use to bundle our application for production. All right, so we add this little build script right here. We don't add it in scripts, we add it as a property. We can add that right here. I'm going to modify it a little bit. All right, so we'll just call this Gatsby desktop.app. All right, we don't need this. Change this to files. I'm going to make this an array. Okay, and then I want to add these files to our dist folder. Should be public. Okay, so that should be all right. And I think we'll also need the node modules. So we don't need that. Okay, I think we're good there. Now we can actually, after the files, we can add a directories property as well. And this is where we can keep our assets. Okay. All right, so that should be all right for the build script. And then next, what we'll need to do is, since we put this in the public / we put the Electron file in the public folder earlier, we'll have to make sure that that gets recognized here. All right, and then also we'll have to add this little bit of code. And I think it's because the Electron builder isn't set up to deal with React right now, so you need to set up this absolute path to make things work. Okay, so going down to our scripts, we already have our dev script, our dev server script here. Now what we need is a build script, so we can make a script called Electron build. And then that'll just run Electron builder. And then after that, make a build script. And so first we'll run Gatsby build, as we should. Then we'll run the Electron build script. Okay, and that should probably do it. Yeah, I think we're good there, so let's go ahead and run build. See what happens. Okay, so it added the dist folder. Okay, looks like it's going all right. No errors so far. Usually it takes about a minute to do this part. All right, there it goes. All right, so now if we go into our project, and we go into the dist folder, we have the setup here, and if we run that, then we should see our application pop up. Good. All right, I thought I got rid of that. Somehow it came back. Ah, I know why that happened. All right. I commented this out, not in the file that's in the public folder. Remember, we had a copy of the file in the public folder. Excuse me. So again, we'll have to comment that out. Let's try it one more time. So we don't want that to be opening up with DevTools every time. Sorry about that. Okay, so npm actually just. Okay, so it's rebuilding the updated file. All right, now it seems to be near the end of the process, and that should be it. Okay, so let's try to run it again. And there it is. So we have our app as a desktop app actually on our computer. We don't need to worry about opening up the browser and running it that way. But we've used Gatsby to create it, which makes it really nice. I know that I'm very comfortable creating with React and Gatsby, and if you are too, then this is a great opportunity for you to build some nice desktop apps. Excuse me. One more thing, let's take a look at our desktop. If you look, it's actually created a little icon for you. So if we shut it down and then we just double click it here, there you go, it launches. So you can see that Electron is a really nice tool, and if you're, like I said, really comfortable developing with React or Gatsby, this is an easy way to get a local desktop app up and running on your computer in a very short period of time. So anyway, thank you for bearing with me. I know it was a little bit slow and laborious. Like I said, I hadn't spent too much time with this before actually recording this, so it still seemed like I was learning as I went along with this little tutorial. So again, thank you as always for checking me out, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.